Beautiful.
Right.
Okay, so hello. There's three of you here.
Yes.
For my audience,
Yes.
just let's go. Introduce yourselves and tell me what you did on the film The Wind.
Hi, I'm Gerard, and I play Lizzie Macklin.
Yes.
I'm Teresa Sutherland. I am the writer.
I'm Emma Tammi. I'm the director.
All right. So my first one's for you, Emma. If I was gonna pitch this movie, I would say it's like the movie The Happening, but it works. You know, the one with Mark Wahlberg running away from the wind. What is happening? This isn't very scary, but it's like an effective version of The Happening meets like Rosemary's Baby.
That's
How
a
am I
great
doing?
comparison. I really, yes, honored to be in the same sentence as Rosemary's Baby in particular.
Yeah. Okay. So, what did you think when you read the scripts? Were you kind of like, where is this going? Did you like tell me about the first read?
It was such a whirlwind. I mean, I basically got this audition. I remember it so distinctly. Thursday evening, went in Friday morning, got it Friday afternoon. We had a table read on Monday, and we were in Santa Fe on Tuesday.
Jeez.
So
quick.
It was quick. I had basically 2 days to process it, and
how did you process it?
I mean, that gets into sort of like my technique, which I try to hone in on, which
Right.
it's sort of a personal experience, so we'll asterisk that and
Oh,
put it
okay.
aside.
Sure.
But the script was, first of all, I love Westerns.
Really?
I love Westerns.
What are some of your favorite Westerns?
The Sergio Leone Westerns are wonderful. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly,
Yeah.
John Wayne Westerns, 310 to Yuma, the old and the new.
Yeah.
I don't know. I grew up in LA, and there's something very Wild West about Hollywood always. They're
Right.
always on some new frontier.
Sure. Oh, that's cool.
And I don't know. I just really gravitate towards Westerns. It's always been my dream. And I very much prefer to play characters with the darker side of humanity. And I think that horrors often tap into that in a way that gets everyone else. It's titillating because we'll go to places that people are afraid to go to, and they can watch it from a safe place. So we'll go the distance for them. And I just think that it's amazing that I got to play something that combines one of my favorite genres and then goes into a internal anguish of a character.
That's so cool.
And really explores that. And
Yeah.
I like the way that they did do horror in a very nuanced manner.
Yeah. It kind of creeps in.
Yeah.
It creeps in, and then by the end, you're just going, Sorry, they can't see my hand gestures, but or hear them. But have you seen The Great Silence? That is a scary Western.
No,
You got to see The Great Silence.
will.
I'm not going to get into it, but so. Yeah, we're in the mix. So what would you guys say is like The Happening meets Rosemary's Baby? But how do you sell to someone maybe who's not even horror excited or enthusiastic? How do you sell them on a slow burn Western period horror film?
Yeah. Well, as Caitlin said, she's a fan of Westerns. I am as well. Teresa is as well, and specifically also a fan of horror. It's cool these two genres are coming together. But for me, I was really drawn to the script because I thought the characters were so nuanced, and there was the drama of the characters and their emotional journeys was the entry point. So in a way, the horror and the fact that it was a Western kind of seemed like fun elements of it, but not the core of it. That makes any sense?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Did you guys? Hey, how are you?
Hi, sorry.
No problem. We're having fun.
Michael,
Yeah,
Julia.
Michael.
nice to meet you. Yeah,
Hi.
really like the movie.
Hi.
But
I'm Teresa. Hi, I'm Julia. Nice to meet you.
okay. You guys have never met? You never met the writer? I love this. The writers are just locked up in the closet and they just do their thing.
Teresa
and,
was on set, but she left before Julia's first shooting.
Okay.
So
I was with some Irish guys and they were all making fun of the scriptwriter, so I just thought that was...
Oh no, Teresa was integral.
Yes.
I write too, so well, whatever. Enough about me. So did you guys have fun? Any levity on the set?
Yes. We live together.
You live together?
Yeah, in Santa Fe.
Okay.
And that
my dog.
with her dog.
Okay.
And her mom and her boyfriend.
I literally, I just had guests. I was like, it's okay if like 9 people come to stay, right?
The dog was also not housebroken yet,
The
which
dog was
was
shitting everywhere.
Brought some levity.
Yeah,
a lot of
Some
levity.
levity, okay.
Lot-
Dylan was super sweet. Dylan, who plays my husband, who's like useless on the prairie. That's like his
Right.
character description.
Yeah. That's funny.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. He's so sweet. We shared a car, and we would be like fighting over the car all the time. I'd be like, I'm not taking it, and so we just ended up carpooling everywhere. He was adorable. He just like sat around and played harmonica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cool being in such an intimate environment with only basically 5 cast members.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was the whole of it, and
on sets where no one's cell phone worked. Like
yeah,
that was
and
such
that
a
was
joy.
magical.
We were all really
Yeah.
present with each other, and the crew and cast were like also.
Yeah, it's like you went off the
dedicated
dirt
and excited.
road and just started to travel back to the 1870s.
You guys went back in time.
Yeah.
That was the time machine.
Yeah.
So, how long? You said the shoot was very quick, right? Like you read it on a Thursday and you were shooting on a Tuesday.
On a
Was that-
Tuesday, and then we shot it
Jeez.
for about, what was the total?
Well, no, you were there Tuesday after the table read, so I think you were cast like a week before. Too.
No, it was not.
Oh, really? Not
It
even
was-
that?
it was
Well, I will say
4
this:
days.
as quick as it was,
Yeah.
obviously Teresa and I had been Teresa for many, many years. I had been living out with her for a while. Caitlin showed up with like a week plus, whatever it was, week less maybe.
Yeah.
And like had meticulously knew the script more than our script supervisor at that point. Like
Yeah.
had done the physical, mental, emotional preparation like so thoroughly, was invested and dedicated beyond belief. And we added stuff like at the last minute just because of like
Yeah.
we found out Caitlin had like a German background, and we were like, let's incorporate.
Yeah.
Teresa and I had for a long time talked about the character maybe be coming from like an immigrant background, and so we incorporated that in at the last minute, and there was like this real. I think deep collaboration that
Yeah,
happened even
very
though
much.
time was short, and I think being on location in New Mexico and all of us just really like being there with each other and only focusing on this was a real special thing because time was short, but it was
Yeah.
concentrated, and it was really like
Yeah, I mean, it was ambitious, but people were highly committed, deeply passionate. Every
Yeah.
department just cared so much. I mean, one of my favorite things there were a lot of favorite things, but one of the most exciting things that I had never experienced with an art department was they had gotten such an it's Hillary and Courtney Angela are these twins, and their favorite thing to do is horror genre,
Yeah.
but they created a 360 environment of a set. So normally when you walk onto a set, you're shooting in that corner, so that corner's set, but the rest of the place is empty or blocked off or used. And I mean, they went beyond the layers. So in every drawer of every cupboard was everything in there. Everything was authentic from that time. They went and hunted down everything. I remember
Jeez.
like a can of soup that they had found from the 1870s.
Whoa.
And
We ate it immediately.
and it was delicious. It aged so well.
Yeah.
Botulism was but it was so exciting because it was a real engagement. Once I discovered that they were so invested in the story themselves and how it mattered for them, it was this release of like, I was like, oh, let's see what happens in the scene. If I open this drawer, what am I going to find and how am I going to use it while we're filming? You know what I mean? And then they had a game too where and we talked about it later, where they're like, okay, what is Caitlin going to go for this time? You know what I mean? And it's like with the soup thing, they had like set up this whole cooking setup, and she was talking to me, and I walked over and I like stirred the pot, and then I went to go taste it, and they never expected that I would eat what was on the thing, and it was so disgusting. And I
I'm
saw the
sure.
cans, and my mind immediately, like while we were in the scene, and I couldn't freak out. It had to be this delicious pumpkin soup or whatever. And in my mind, I was like, oh my god, they went so far that they actually used the contents of this old can. Oh my god, am I gonna die? And then-
We had to keep your composure.
I'm going to keep my composure, be very serious about what
Yeah.
she was telling me. And then they yelled, cut. And I turned and they're like, oh my God, you ate it. And I was like, what was that? And they're like, oh, it was paint. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I don't know. There was just a very much an active engagement and presence from everyone involved, if that, you know what I mean? So
sure.
Everything felt very much alive and spontaneous.
Alive. Wow.
yeah, it's
So
like stepping into a world.
Yeah.
stepping into a world. Why do you guys think that like the religious stuff works in horror movies? Like horror movies are always going to be hot, right?
I feel like Teresa, you should.
But
Take it.
yeah. Why the religious stuff? Why do people get so triggered by that?
I think people have a complicated relationship with religion sometimes, and I feel like I certainly do. And there's a sense of like it's something that's supposed to bring comfort, and that we look to for a comfort feeling. And so I feel like often people will bring it in. I know I brought it in to sort of get. Well, these characters would have religion in their life more than likely, but
Sure.
In this time period, but as something to kind of grasp onto and be like ask for help.
Comfort,
like I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no one around me. Like help. Like someone help.
I also think that religion it is motivated by fear. So religious
Fear of God and stuff. But they even say that in the movie.
Right. That's how they get you. Is the fear of the afterlife and what you have to do.
It might be bullshit.
What you have
I don't
to
wanna
do
go to hell.
to secure
Yeah.
your safety and what is to come next, which is this unknown. And I think the unknown is very fearful. And so I think that's a mechanism that most religions actually use in their favor. So to me, it's only natural that horror will exploit this device that religion uses
That's really
to
cool.
lure people in.
Yeah, wow.
You know?
And that's a lot to think of there. But Julie, you seem very nice, very very pleasant. But in this movie, holy God, you
Am I
are
not pleasant in this movie?
you bring the freaky. And I'm just wondering, what do you draw upon, like, as an actress, in either, like, is it other stuff? Is it your life? Like, what do you draw upon to get so scary?
It was a lot of makeup. They put a lot of horror makeup on me, and I think it's You mean like when I was a ghost?
What? Just
Or
like
when I
whatever.
was
Yeah, when you're all like demonic.
Oh, when I'm demonic? I think it's just because I was just thinking of her as like a scared young girl who's who I think it ties into the religious stuff. Who's like deeply petrified and is. I don't really know what I thought about, but I just saw her as like a scared girl who was super psychologically traumatized, and like what happens when you've gone completely off the wire, off the what is the
Off the grid?
Off the grid, completely off the grid, and she's just scared and alone, and just like thinking about like that silence. I think that's such a big theme in our movie, is that just silence, isolation, solitude, like thinking about what that would be like. Especially when you're trying to carry another human being inside of you, and the responsibility of that when you're still a child. So I think like that is the scariest thing about the movie for me. Is that, like, I know that like Caitlin has a lot of like paranormal experiences. Like I turn into a ghost. Like I have like this haunting to her. But I think the scariest part is that these women are just completely alone. They're super young. And
nobody's there.
No one
There's
really
like
cares
4
about
people.
them. Yeah, there's 4 people.
Yeah.
One of the men is incompetent. The other one is like hanging out. God knows what he's doing. Like,
We're always
You
gone.
mentioned earlier. My pitch for this movie is The Happening, if it worked, meets Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, that's
There you go.
super cool.
Yeah.
So you don't have to footnote me. You can just take it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
How did you like conceptualize this movie? And like, how long did you write this movie?
I'm from Missouri. I lived in Kansas for quite some time. I lived in Kansas actually when I was working at like a community garden with a bunch of older women. And we were outside working, and we couldn't hear each other over the wind, and we were trying to have a conversation and just gave up. And then on the way out, one of the women came up to me, and she's like, "You know what used to drive people crazy? Specifically women. It used to drive women crazy." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "The wind. They're out here like every day, all day." And I was hooked. I was like, "Wait a second."
What is this?
I gotta know more about what's going on. So then research, and then just reading books, and found diaries of women and just amazing stories of just how they were incredibly strong human beings in this insane situation. Yeah. And then we moved. We went to school. I did a short that this inspired, and it became something smaller. And then Chris Allender, the producer on it saw the short and was like, hey, I really like that idea, I like that story.
Yeah.
So he was like, what would a feature look like? What would a feature look like? And it took a couple years to be like, how would this be? How do I take, because the short was just one person. I was like, how do I take one person and just give them a whole thing? And so like, I was like, never mind, that's not what's going to happen. And so then just looking at the time period and the tone and the horror and the strength of these women, and then just being like, let's pull in more people and let's sort of find this story here. And then once I had that, it took about a month to write. And then
a month?
I think, yeah, and then Emma was hired in January
That's
or
not
something.
fair.
I know. I was like, I got it.
You gave birth to it.
Yeah, I was like, I know, I got it.
Perverse.
Yeah. There was a lot of work in my head those years before that I was just like,
did all the research.
Yeah, like research and everything was done, and like lots of that. But yeah, once I was like, I know this story. I just sat down, I wrote it, it's done.
But what's I think even more crazy about that and the time frame that you did it in is that the script and the movie, as you know, is non-linear, and she wrote it out of order. Like, so the fact that she had it organized in her head and then was able to put it down is like some sort of mad genius.
What I also think was really incredible was on our first day of shooting, you were on set.
Yeah.
And we did a couple scenes, and then I think it was at like lunch, so only like a couple hours into shooting, and we're all new, so we're all still getting to know each other. We had just met, and you basically were like, well, I'm gonna say bye, I'm gonna go back to Los Angeles. And I was just like, oh, what, you're leaving? And you're like, yeah, I was intending on staying longer, but after watching that, you guys got it figured out, so what am I doing here? And to me, I was just in such awe that it's your baby, and you were able to just hand it over, and you trusted us, and you just let it go in such a wonderfully caring way.
But I think that's indicated in the script too. Like the thing that I really liked about the script was that it wasn't, you read so much that's overwritten all the time because people think they're geniuses. Like they're like, I'm gonna put every joke and every experience I've ever had into this movie. And this was like really spare on the page. It was just like knew how to breathe. And I think that trust in the script translates.
That's great.
Truly,
so we're wrapping up here, and I just wanted to say I like the movie. I hope people will check it out. And was this a transformative experience for you guys? When you say like you want to do more stuff like this?
Yes. Always want to be challenged.
I just want to work with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a sequel.
There's a sequel.
It gets windier.
The hail, the snow. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to say one thing.
Yes.
In the words of Nietzsche, the only worthy opponent is Jesus Christ.